Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So, even though it feels like we just wrapped up the NBA playoffs not too long ago, the 2021 NBA playoffs are here again, and today is just going to be my prediction video, how I think it's going to shake out and all that good stuff. So with all that being said, make sure you leave your thoughts on what you think is going to happen in the playoffs, your predictions, what you think is going to happen, all that good stuff. Like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of the fun, and let's get into it. So first, I'm going to start with the tier list of the teams that are in the playoff. At the time of this recording, Golden State and Memphis have not played for the 8th seed, but I'm just going to assume that Golden State is going to go win, but if Memphis does end up winning it, just know that they're in the not ready category, and I'll explain what that means when we get there. But I think the favorites to win it all should be Brooklyn and the Lakers. Obviously, I know that the Lakers are a 7th seed and they've been beat up, but I think AD and LeBron are hitting their stride, and I think they're healthy enough right now to where I feel like, they should be in their title favorite role that they were coming into the year and were for stretches of the year when LeBron and AD were both healthy. And then obviously the Brooklyn, it's kind of a championship or bust for them. They've got KD, Harden, Kyrie. Those are three of the most talented offensive players in the history of this game. That should automatically make them favorites. Contenders. I think Milwaukee's got a really good shot at making it out of the East, and I'll get more into that later. But I think that the additions of Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker and the better spacing has allowed them to be a much better team than they have been the past 2 years with Giannis. I think the Clippers, even though I really don't trust them, I think they've still got a good enough team to where what am I saying? To where I still trust them to be able to compete for a title. When you got Kawhi, Paul George, the best three-point shooting team in the league, Ty Lue's your coach, an improvement over Doc, at least for this group. I think that's a contending team. The Sixers, number 1 seed in the East, and Jazz, the number 1 seed in the West. Even though I don't really like them as much as the previous 4 teams, they're still the number 1 seeds in their conference for a reason, so I'm going to have to give them some credit. Some dark horses. These are teams I would have more of an outside shot of winning it. It'd be surprising if they did, but I could see maybe why. The Suns and the Mavericks, we got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. That's a really good trio. Luka on the Mavericks. If Kristaps can show up and they can play some defense, I think they could give a lot of people a lot of trouble. Miami. I feel like they should be in the contender, but they're not as good as they were last year, I don't think. Not that I think their finals run was a fluke or anything like that. That's ridiculous. But I do think maybe they're not quite as good, but they still got Bam and Jimmy Butler, and all their core guys. I think the loss of Jay Crowder has been very underrated for them this year. But they're if they won it, if they got back to the finals, it would be surprising, but maybe not that surprising. I wish Jamal Murray was healthy because I think I'd have the Nuggets at the top of the contenders list. But without Jamal Murray, I just don't think Michael Porter Jr. is enough of a replacement for Jamal Murray for me to put them in the contender slot. But with Jokic, who's likely going to win the MVP, I still feel comfortable with them winning a series and, giving somebody some trouble. Interesting. I think the Warriors, a Super Steph game can change an entire series, so they're a very interesting team to watch. If you don't appreciate Steph Curry at this point, you just don't like basketball. The Trailblazers, they got Dame in their group. They're interesting. I think the Knicks, are they the most offensive talented team? No, but they've got a great defense. They play hard, and it's fun to see the Knicks back. And they're just not ready. I would put the Celtics kind of more in a dark horse category. Jaylen Brown was healthy, but I really don't think even with Jaylen Brown, they're just good enough to win or really do much. But without Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker's not a good enough sidekick for Jason Tatum. They're going to have to work on that, but we'll see where that goes. The Wizards, Beal and Westbrook, as fun and talented as they are, they're just not really built for the postseason. And then the Hawks, I think they're still a ways away, but I think it is nice that Trae Young finally made the playoffs. Okay, the series I'm most looking forward to, a likely second-round matchup between Brooklyn and Milwaukee. I think personally whoever wins this series is going to win the East. And I think if anybody is going to knock out Brooklyn, I think it's Milwaukee. I think they really match up well, potentially. Drew Holiday can guard Kyrie. PJ Tucker can guard James Harden. Giannis can guard KD. Or if they want to swap those other two to where PJ Tucker is guarding KD. And I think they really match up well with the Nets. And by that time, James Harden, Kyrie, and KD have only played 8 games together as a trio. Which, I mean, so they're going to be building their chemistry and everything like that, and the Bucks have been playing. I think this can be a colossal – I mean, this is going to be like a title type – this is going to be a finals type series in the second round, so I'm super excited for that potentially. Hopefully they don't get upset. I would be really, really upset if that happened. The most dangerous teams, I would say the Miami Heat. When I say most dangerous, I mean like more slept-on teams, I guess. I mean, they made it to the finals last year. It's basically the same team, and so, you know, you can't count them out. And then really this is really just about Steph Curry, but a super Steph game could change a series. Let's say that the Warriors are down 2-1 and Steph goes off for 45. And now it's 2-2, and that completely changes the series and your preparation for the next series and everything like that. So I think a super Steph game or a couple of super Steph games and could potentially swing a series or delay a series and everything like that. So I think the Warriors are going to be real interesting out, especially for the Jazz in the first round, assuming they win the play-in game. But I'm going to go on with the rest of the video that they win the play-in game against Memphis. Okay, under the most pressure. Obviously, LeBron's always under pressure to win the title. The Clippers. I did a video about how the Clippers were screwed last year after they went down 3-1 or after they owed 3-1 and blew everything and all like that. So if you want to check that out, I'll link it here. But, I mean, they're under a lot of pressure to win, especially after the collapse of last year. Chris Paul, he's always, he needs some like real big-time legacy-defining playoff moments. I unfortunately don't think he's going to get it this year, as sad as that makes me. And Kristaps Porzingis. I think he needs to show that he can stay healthy and he can be the definitive number 2 star for Luka, because Luka's not going anywhere. If they're going to move off someone, it's going to be Kristaps. They're going to bring another star in for Luka. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like everyone on this top row performed for sure. I really hope so. I hope so for them. But the only people that are under real huge, enormous pressure is the Nets. It's a super team. It's really the only super team, I think, in the league. The Warriors are now gone. I don't think the Lakers are a super team. I think they're a really good deep team. I don't think they're a super team. But with Kyrie, James Harden, KD, I mean, come on. How are you not expected to be the absolute favorite to win? This is going to be a legacy-defining playoff run for all 3 of these guys. James Harden needs a ring. Kyrie could use another ring. KD could have used a ring that people couldn't potentially invalidate. I'm personally not one of those people that's like, oh, KD's rings don't count. I'm not one of those, but, especially if he doesn't win with this group, I think it's going to make those people's arguments stronger. It's going to maybe make those other rings not look as good, not to me, but just for his legacy and stuff like that. So I think they're definitely underneath the most pressured. Okay, so for the Western Conference, in the first round, as much as I enjoy watching Steph Curry, now that he's not always playing LeBron in the finals, as much as it pains me to do this, I think the Jazz are going to win, even if Donovan Mitchell – assuming Donovan Mitchell plays and everything like that. I think the Warriors are just a little understaffed to go any farther than the first round. But they'll make it competitive. And in the second matchup, Clippers versus the Mavericks, I was tempted to go to the Mavericks, but the Clippers are the best 3-point team in the league, and I think the Mavericks just don't play enough good defense. So as much as it hurts me to pick against Luka, I am going to go with the Clippers. Okay, Denver and Portland. If Jamal Murray was playing, I'd say this is a quick series. Over in 5. I think Portland is kind of pretenders and everything like that. But without Murray, I think it's going to be closer. But I think Jokic is still good enough to be able to carry them past. I'm going to pick the Nuggets. And 2 versus 7. As much as I would like to see the Suns have success, I just don't think they match up very well against the Lakers. So I am going to pick the Lakers to win that series. All right, now Jazz versus Clippers. I like the Jazz. I would like for them to be better, but I don't know about Donovan Mitchell's health. And I really don't think they have anybody that can stop Kawhi and Paul George. And Rudy Gobert, his value goes down in the playoffs. So I am going to go with the Clippers. I know I really shouldn't trust them. They have a history of choking, but I am picking them to reach their first Western Conference title or Western Conference finals in franchise history. And then Denver and the Lakers. If Jamal Murray was playing, I would say this is going to be a really, really great series. But once again, I just don't know if Jokic is enough of a punch. I don't know if their interior defense is good enough. I don't know if they guard well enough. I don't know if they match up well enough against LeBron and AD. assuming both of them are healthy again. And so I am going to go with the Lakers. Now, in the Battle of LA, I think this is going to be a super, super close series. However, I really just don't trust the Clippers, and I trust the Lakers more. So I am going to go with the Lakers, but I think it's going to be a super tight, super close series. Okay, next we got 76ers and the Wizards. I think this can be a sweep. Sixers all the way. They have great spacing. Joel Embiid's a beast. The Wizards are going to have no answers to them. Knicks Hawks. I think definitely one of the more interesting series. Trae Young has struggled against the Knicks this season. I think the Knicks have great defensive personnel. I think Julius Randle is a good enough offensive piece to provide enough punch. They got Derrick Rose, RJ Barrett, everyone like that. I think together the Knicks are gonna win their first playoff series in a long time. Now Milwaukee, Miami, a rematch from last year. The absolute collapse by Giannis. And just the Bucks really in general. However, I think the Bucks are a lot better, and I don't think Miami's quite as good, so I am going to go Milwaukee. Celtics Nets, this is going to be a sweep. Unfortunately for Jason Tatum, who I think is offensively gifted and super fun to watch, he just does not have the support to go up against the Nets. In the second round, as fun as the Knicks story has been, I think the 76ers are just better than them. I don't think they really have an answer for Embiid and Simmons and all their spacing and all that good stuff. And they've got a little more experience than the Knicks do, so I'm going to go with the Sixers. Okay, in my colossal heavyweight, however you want to title it, Eastern Conference semis between the Bucks and Brooklyn, honestly, this is a coin flip. Whichever way you want to go, I think is perfectly fine. I think it really depends on how well and how effective they can match up with Brooklyn offensively, because Brooklyn's not going to stop Milwaukee. Like, Giannis is going to have a feast. Giannis is going to have a field day. Nick Clarkson is not going to be able to hold Giannis. Giannis is going to have an absolute field day. So it's a question of, can Milwaukee match up well with Brooklyn when Milwaukee's on defense? Can Giannis guard KD? Can Drew Holiday limit Kyrie? Can PJ Tucker match up with James Harden, which will be really funny. But it's going to be super interesting. And even though I think they have chemistry issues, like I said, this is a coin flip, so I am going to go Brooklyn because I want to be more right just in case Milwaukee does fall back and have their Milwaukee issues. But I really wanted to go Milwaukee, but I think I'm just going to go with Brooklyn for the sake of being safer. But if Milwaukee beats them, I wouldn't be surprised. I actually would be happy with that. But in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Sixers story, yeah, they've had a good run, and Joel Embiid is going to feast, but it won't be as effective as when Giannis feasts, so I'm going to go with Brooklyn. So in the finals, honestly, this is a coin flip. I think, honestly, this all comes down to health. If AD goes down, if LeBron is hurt, or if any of the three of them are hurt, the Nets trio, I don't think either one of them make it to the finals, especially the Lakers. I think a combination of Harden and Kyrie and KD and James Harden is probably good enough to still make it to the finals out of the East. I pick Milwaukee over them at that point. But assuming everyone stays healthy, this is a coin flip. But I know the Lakers have a little more chemistry. I know that for sure than the Nets do. So I am going to pick LeBron and AD and the Lakers to repeat. Maybe I'm a little biased, as you can tell. But that's just kind of my gut feeling. Honestly, this whole thing is so contingent on health that it's hard to be really confident in any pick. But this is what I'm going to go with. If you have a different opinion and you got a valid reason, that is totally cool. I could totally see that. Honestly, if you want to make a case for Brooklyn or Milwaukee or the Sixers or the Clippers, fine by me. That is great. But with all that being said, thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you leave your thoughts and comments below. Who do you think is going to win? How do you think the matchups are going to play out? Thanks for watching. I always appreciate you guys when you watch. Like I said earlier, like, comment, subscribe. You have a great day.